Chapter 4. Revolution, Our Strategy. Our condition has been analyzed, our goal perceived, the mechanism has been spelled out, and a set of pathways have been mapped. Should we simply go counter-economic ourselves, educate ourselves in libertarianism, and inform others by word and deed, we shall reach our libertarian society. Indeed, this is sufficient for most people and enough to be expected. No new libertarian should ever berate libertarian counter-economists for not doing more. They are agorists and will get there in their own time. But even these simple agorists may wish to contribute to entrepreneurs specializing in accelerating the movement to the agorist society from statism. And others, perceiving rising inflation heading to economic collapse or the gathering clouds of war, will want something done about it. Finally, the counterattacks of the state, which subvert the agorist subsociety and lure libertarians into false paths, must be combated. These tasks define the field for the new libertarian activist. Again, for those who wish to only live their lives as free as possible and associate with others like-minded, counter-economic libertarianism is sufficient. No more is needed. But for those who want to support in whatever way they can those heroic entrepreneurs who specialize in recruiting for the agora, deal with the state-caused catastrophes, and combat statists within and without, a guide is needed to select those who are doing something worthwhile from those spinning their wheels and those actually counterproductive, i.e. counter-revolutionary, to achieving more freedom. And for those like this author, who burn for liberty and wish to devote themselves to that life's work, a strategy is essential. What follows, then, is the new libertarian strategy. The new libertarian activist must keep in mind that actual defense against the state is impossible until the counter-economy has generated the syndicates of protection agencies sufficiently large to defend against the remnant of the state. This will occur only at the phase transition between the third and fourth steps, leading back from statism to agorism, as shown in Chapter 3. Each step from statism to agorism requires a different strategy. Tactics will differ even within each step. There are some rules, though, which will apply in all stages. Under all circumstances, one recruits and educates. Given typically confused individual acquaintances who are considering a counter-economic act, encourage them to do it. If they are intelligent enough and not likely to turn on you, explain the risks involved and the returns expected. Most of all, educate them by your example to the extent that you can let them know. All library libertarians you know, those who profess some theoretical variant of libertarianism but eschew practice, should be encouraged to practice what they preach. Scorn their inaction, praise their first halting steps toward counter-economics. Interact with them more and more as trust grows with their competence and experience. Those already in counter-economics who you meet can be let in on the libertarian philosophy that you hold, that mysterious belief you hold which keeps you so happy and free from guilt. Drop in nonchalantly if they feign lack of interest. Wax enthusiastic as they grow more curious and eager to learn. Self-agorism by example and argument. Control and program your emotional reactions to exhibit hostility at statism and deviationism, and to exhibit enthusiasm and joy at agorist acts and the state's setbacks. Most of these tactics will become routine, but you can check yourself to polish a few things. Finally, coordinate your activities with other new libertarian activists. At this point, we arrive at the need for group tactics and organization. Many worthy libertarians argue that the market structures of businesses, partnerships, and joint stock companies provide all the organization necessary or desirable, save perhaps for personal mating or socializing. In one sense, they are correct, in that all structures must be market compatible or be inconsistent with agorism. In another sense, they are guilty of a lack of imagination and a concern for form over substance. In an agorist society, division of labor and self-respect of each worker, capitalist entrepreneur, will probably eliminate the traditional business organization, especially the corporate hierarchy, an imitation of the state and not the market. Most companies will be associations of independent contractors, consultants, and other companies. Many may just be one entrepreneur and all of his services, computers, suppliers, and customers. This mode of operation is already aground and growing in the freer segments of Western economies. Thus, an association of entrepreneurs of liberty for the purpose of specializing, coordinating, and delivering libertarian activities is no violation of the market and may well be optimal. The traditional name for a handling together of sovereign units for a goal and then disbanding is an alliance. Hence, the basic organization for new libertarian activists is the New Libertarian Alliance. The organization of the New Libertarian Alliance, or the NLA, or NLAs, plural, is simple, and should avoid turning into a political organ or even an authoritarian organization. Rather than officers, what are needed are tacticians, local coordinators with competency in tactical planning, and strategists, regional coordinators with competency in strategic thinking. A new libertarian ally does not follow a tactician or strategist, but rather buys their argument and expertise. Anyone offering a better plan can replace the previous planner. Tactics and strategy should be bought and sold by the allies like any other commodity, in consistent agorist fashion. Even though these labels are borrowed from military history and do correspond to a form of combat, never forget that actual physical confrontation with the state's enforcers must await the market's generation of protection agency syndicates of sufficient strength. All else is premature. What is the global strategy, the continental strategy, and the local tactics for a new libertarian alliance to optimally pursue? Again, let's look at the 4 steps from or to agora from statism. The first 3 are actually rather artificial divisions. No abrupt change occurs from first to second to third. As will be shown, it is most probable that the transition from the 3rd to the 4th step will be quite sudden, though it is not required by the nature of the agora. Rather, the convulsion will be caused by the nature of the state. In fact, all violence, unrest, instability, and dislocations are caused by the state, never fomented by new libertarians. Heed well, you who would be a paladin of liberty. Never initiate any act of violence regardless of how likely a libertarian result may appear. To do so is to reduce yourself to a statist. There are no exceptions to this rule. Either you are fundamentally consistent or not. A new libertarian is fundamentally consistent, and one who is not fundamentally consistent is not a new libertarian. But using new libertarian analysis, one can predict the likely outbreak of statist aggression and move to head it off by exposure, or even to defend or evacuate the victims. One can also predict the probable outcomes of deviations by libertarian groups and either head off the sellouts and disasters or win respect for one's foresight and that of new libertarianism from potential recruits. Let the state be the forest fire. The new libertarian alliances are the smoke eaters who know how it burns, how to fire break, how the winds of change affect it, where the sparks may fly, and, finally, how to extinguish it. With this in mind, let us label the steps to agora as 4 phases and outline the appropriate strategy for each. Phase 0. Zero-density agorist society. In this phase, most of human history, no agorists exist. Only scattered libertarians or proto-libertarians thinking and practicing counter-economics. The moment someone reads this manifesto and wishes to apply it, we have moved to the next phase. All that can be done in phase 0 is the slow evolution of consciousness, hit and miss development, and a lot of frustrating dichotomies.